Hi there. So I wanted to go over what may have been the ideal solution to some problems we were having with LunarColony. So I just wanted to rehash this for everybody as a whole. So we're all on the same page because a lot of the input that I had was highly personalized for everybody. So for the first thing, I would say is working with the Reaper, the starting positioning. One of the things that I pushed a lot in some of our feedback is maybe that the Reaper would have been best to start here. So if the Reaper started here, let me go ahead and what I'm going to do is hop around characters to show you what the ideal starting location should be. Okay, so the next thing is the Arisa is going to start here.
This will be your shield.
So we're going to have this. And I think this is what's going to start out. Keep in mind is when you put the shield here, you want to make sure that you understand that this area is not going to be covered. So you want to be close enough to where you're not going to get shot in the back. So you need to be careful about this little corner here that you can see and just position yourself a little bit to where you are not, like I said, you're not going to get shot. So we have the Reaper up here, we have the Arisa here, we have the Roadhog starting here. We have the Brigitte starting here, and what I want her to do is actually crouch right here. So right here will be good. Aw, Darcy. All right, we're gonna pretend that you didn't see that because I'm embarrassed now and everybody's gonna be looking. Okay, so yeah, we want the Brigitte to be starting here. And then we also have the Junkrat. Now the Junkrat's going to be a little different. Junkrat is going to start on this side. And so what this will entail is the Junkrat has to be the one to say where everybody is going to go. And the reason why the Junkrat is going to start here is because the Junkrat has the easiest time out of everybody right now to move around this area. So for example, if there needs to be backup, he can jump back and forth. He can do everything that he needs to do. So this is going to be the most mobile character on the team, and that's why the most mobile character is starting here instead. So if the Junkrat hears everybody going beneath him, he can tell everybody and they'll turn around. Or if the Junkrat sees the Farah coming in, the Junkrat can hopefully deal with something really quickly. But yeah, I wanted the Junkrat to start here. And so I'm trying not to move my mouse that much to get everybody sick or anything. But that's what's going to happen. And the last one is the Mercy. Now the Mercy is going to actually start over here in this corner. And so what's going to happen here is that the Mercy is going to keep an eye out for anybody that needs heals in this area. The Mercy is also going to be able to go back and forth to keep an eye on the Junkrat to see if the Junkrat needs heals. And the Mercy can look at this, this room over here to make sure that there's if there's a sniper over here, they can warn the team, or if there's somebody on the ground, or if there's any changes that they need to make, like somebody coming up this railing, Symmetra turret, or anything strange. And so really the Mercy needs to be able to watch the flank here. So that will be where the Mercy will stay. And then obviously if somebody goes in and out of this door, the Junkrat will see, and then the team can focus on these doors here. So back to the Arisa, how this is going to work is the first person is going to come up the stairs. It's usually going to be a Reinhardt. So what we're going to do is start shooting at the Reinhardt. We're going to have the Reaper, and the Reaper is going to take a position where he moves forward in order to shoot at the back shoulder of the Rhine or whatever tank they have coming up here in Arisa or whatever it is. The Reaper is going to basically take advantage of this position to be able to shoot behind the shield if they move up that far forward. Now we'll talk about what happens when they go down afterwards, but for now we're going to say the Reinhardt comes running in here expecting his team to be behind him, and he just goes cruise controlling through this section. So what's going to happen next is that the Roadhog is going to start pushing forward and using these stairs as cover as well. But the idea is the Roadhog is going to push forward right when the shooting starts. And one of two things is going to happen. The Reinhardt is going to put down his shield, or whoever is the DPS is actually going to end up running past the shield when the Reinhardt backs down the stairs. And this is when you get him. So whoever either backs down the stairs or the Reinhardt himself, you are going to use your hooky and grab him and pull him towards you. Now the Brigitte doing her thing here has two things that she's going to need to do very quickly. Once the Roadhog hooks, the Reinhardt is going to go forward, or whoever is with the Reinhardt is going to go forward. And the first thing she's going to do is stand up. She needs to shoot the flail at the next person behind them, and then quickly turn for whoever was hooked, and then either make sure that they are finished off, or she is going to have to hold them in place again by using the shield bash to make sure they can be finished. So this really depends if a DPS is grabbed or if the main tank is grabbed in the front. If it's the main tank, then that's good, because that just means you're going to shield bash, and then both the Roadhog and the Brigitte are just going to basically beat the crap out of whoever's there until they stop moving. Now next we have the Reaper on his little murder perch, and the Brigitte had shot the flail at one person and then went to shield bash the person first in the line. What's going to happen here is that the Reaper is going to kill whoever the Brigitte hit with the flail. So you're going to have to move away from your little murder perch and start shooting at them. And yes, the reason why you will move is because you want to be the front of their vision. You don't want them shooting at the Mercy. You don't want them shooting at the Brigitte. You want to capture their attention. And so that's actually why you're going to move. Is you're essentially going to body block, and I'm going to slowly turn. I don't want to make everybody sick, but if the Mercy is here in this corner, you're actually going to position yourself so you're between them and the Mercy, and you are going to work on the second person. Now what's going to happen is, of course, at this point, you're either going to take them down or they're going to try to retreat down the stairs. Now we're back to the Orisa. So the Orisa is here while the Reaper is pretty much wailing away. And they're starting to retreat down the stairs, and so this is where the Orisa comes in. It pulls them back up the stairs to make sure we kill 2 people at this push. So this is going to be a failed push where a minimum of 2 people are going to die. And I haven't forgotten about the Junkrat. So while this is happening, what the Junkrat is going to do, and the Junkrat actually has 2 options at this point. Now the Junkrat is actually helping out here, shooting across, just in case anyone gets out of line, because I've seen crazy things where sometimes things happen where the enemy team keeps going forward anyways, and they might, or somebody is going to back down these steps and they're going to try to go a different path. And so this is where the Junkrat comes in, is Junkrat is going to report it, that they're going down different steps, and then the Junkrat is going to try to come in and take out the healer. So you can trap them or whatever you have to do and just make sure that they get them. So when the team starts pushing down the steps, this is where it gets really interesting. After 2 people are gone, the team is automatically always, 90% of the time, unless they're bronze, is always going to try to retreat back once they're in a 4v6 situation. So, Reaper, you're going to notice that they all start going back down the stairs after that. 2 people have died. You're probably never going to see the top of the third person's head here. So once they start going back down the stairs, what you're going to want to do is immediately turn around, and I'm going to move very slowly because I don't want to make anybody sick, but you're going to immediately turn around, and they're at a 4v4. Both you and the Junkrat up here, who the Junkrat may even decide to jump down, but at this point, you guys can turn around and start cleaning up. Is that you guys can start shooting behind them, and since both of you do so much damage, you can afford to take out 1 or 2 of the healers. In fact, I bet before you jump down, the Junkrat's already taken out whatever their slower moving healer will be. So I would be fine with assuming that this is now going to be a 3v6 situation. Alrighty, and then what will be next is, after everybody's down or they start moving down towards the low ground, the Brigitte can start pursuing in the front with the Roadhog behind her. And so what the Brigitte is going to do is they might tuck themselves into this room, or they might go lengthwise around the corner. If that happens, you're going to decide which way to go based on what they're doing. And also, this is to keep them from turning and going outside, because that still may happen. So basically the Reaper is going to be coming up the back. You're going to go up the front to make sure you can keep view on them, and you and the Junkrat and the Reaper are going to basically try to corner them into this room. So in this moment, the Roadhog can start pushing down the stairs behind the Brigitte. And what they can do too is swing wide and then try to force somebody to pull them back up the stairs. By this point, your hook should have recharged to where you should be able to yank somebody again. So we're going to say right now this is a 6v2 scenario, and what's going to happen next, really, the only two people up the stairs should be the Mercy and the Arisa at this point. So we're going to jump to them really quickly. So at this point, with the team retreating down the stairs and it's a 2v6 scenario, the Arisa can start turning, at least during the time that this is happening. The Arisa can turn around and place her shield here, and then now she can start using her abilities to keep the enemy team there and shoot them as they're running away, or use her halt orb to pull them back to where the Reaper, the Junkrat, the Roadhog, and the Brigitte can quickly eliminate them. And so I'm pretty sure at this point, with the halt orb and then simply shifting positions, this will be an easy scenario to make sure that it's a 1v6. It's possible that that last person might get away, but that's okay, because now you've actually forced them to trickle. There is one last thing too, and I'm going to switch to the Mercy just to show that perspective as well. Alrighty, so now with the Mercy hiding in this corner here, obviously I'm just going to boost whoever I can, respectively, to make sure that we kill people as fast as possible. Like when the Roadhog hooks, I will boost the Roadhog. When the Brigitte charges, I'll boost the Brigitte. And then as the team, or the enemy team, starts making their way down the stairs, this is where the Junkrat needs to say, okay, if I'm going to jump down, this is where I'm going to jump down. So what's going to happen is the longer this fight progresses, the more I'm going to start moving over here, and I need to keep an eye on this section of the map to make sure that one of two things doesn't happen. Is the first one is to make sure that when the first guy, or the tank, or the DPS, or whoever they are, the first person who dies does not have time to come back and fight again. The second thing is that I want to make sure that the Junkrat and the Reaper are getting health, because the Brigitte is following in the front. And so the Brigitte can always be saved if something goes wrong, is where if the Brigitte starts taking more damage than she needs to, she can always hold up her shield and back off, and then the Roadhog can run in front of her and body block her. But the Junkrat and the Reaper are still going to need help. And so what I'm going to do is actually jump down, and I'm going to start boosting the Junkrat and the Reaper to make sure that they can kill everybody. Now this should help us to clear out the entire team. It's possible that somebody can get away, and if that happens, then oh well, it does mean that we delayed their push. They are probably going to push in a different direction, and they might actually change what they're playing, or their comp, or whatever. So there may be some situations like that. It really depends on how well the team is communicating. I think with a silver team, they're just going to try to do the same thing until they realize they don't have enough time, and then when there's about a minute left, they're going to start arguing and switching up characters, and so that's usually what's going to happen. A more experienced team that works together is going to switch it up to probably try a May or something like that to wall off that area, but we'll hit that hurdle when it gets there. But yeah, so I think really if we handle this according to that plan, when they run to this side, if everything goes in the ideal way, we should be very close to having ults by the time they try a second push, and some of us should be getting ults within the second push. Like the Brigitte should have an ult by the time this is finished, the Mercy should have an ult by the time this is finished, and the Junkrat, most importantly, should absolutely have ult by their second push. And so this is very important because this means that the more we keep getting ults, the less opportunity they have of actually setting foot on point, and we can be more flexible with what we do. And so if we're getting ults one by one at each exchange, we should be able to hold this point for 3 to 4 minutes, and it should be good game from that point on. And so that would be the first spot of how I think that it should have gone when we were playing. But always remember too, is that if something unpredictable happens where we set up in that room all the way up top, we always want to return to the high ground when we're done. So regardless of how this goes, and pushing the other side will mean that we'll need to make some adjustments. But my point is every time we clear out the enemy team or we get a kill, you do want to start moving back up towards the high ground for this section of the map. Okay, so for defending B, here's what I think the ideal strategy should be. First of all, Fluffy needs to be up here on the top looking down over point, and I think that this is going to be the strongest spot for any Junkrat to ever exist. So it gives you a chance to go ahead and throw things over here. Well, Fluffy's aim will be better than mine, but it will give the chance to do things here. I noticed that the enemy team was pushing mid a lot, so this will be very good. If there's a Pharah that comes in here for some strange reason, you can just handle the Pharah like so, and deal with it here. So this is a very comfortable place for the Junkrat. Besides that, it gives you a chance to seek cover depending on where the enemy team is. If there's a Widowmaker here, that changes things, but the idea is that this is a good spot to start. Next, what we're gonna do is, okay, so now the Reaper is going to take a little hidey hole in this corner here, and when the team passes, if they push in this direction, the enemy team is not actually going to see the Reaper when he sits in this corner. The wall is far back enough to where somebody can sit there and safely be unnoticed. And of course, I found this out when I was playing Genji, and I decided to run over here for cover, and I noticed that the entire team, or the enemy team, sat here and ignored me while I just quietly hung out in the corner. So this is exactly what the Reaper's going to do. When somebody sees the enemy team push, let's say they push middle and they don't use this side here, the Reaper can teleport to a different area, such as over here to take cover. They can teleport over here, and then nobody's going to see the Reaper cross in front. Or it also gives the Reaper a chance to start flanking here as the enemy team is pushing in. Alrighty, now the Orisa. One of the possibilities for the Orisa is to actually start here.
Behind the barrier.
Or even, I would say, let's go ahead and move the shield a little bit closer. And so the reason why the shield, we can move this closer, and the reason why is because if the Reaper needs to teleport to the other side, the Reaper can also use this corner of the shield too to keep his ass safe, and then take the heal kit and then go back and, you know, do what he needs to do. Meanwhile, the Orisa can protect main by looking this way. So that is what's going to happen here. Next, now, because of this setup, now keep in mind the team comp that we were rolling with here meant that everybody's very close range, and so this does complicate things a little bit. Is what we are going to need is for one person to be able to see where the enemy team is going, and the reason why Roadhog is going to be the best choice is because the Roadhog will get damage reduction whenever he drinks his booze, like so. So we're gonna do this, and now that I'm drinking and getting drunk, I actually have damage reduction. So the Roadhog is going to be the one that cruises around. I would recommend staying near this corner and just making sure he can see where everything is. Or if you want to take the high ground, the Roadhog has a little bit of freedom in this whole mode here, is that the Roadhog can hang around this railing and see if they're coming in this way. I think that the Reaper would be able to hear if they're coming in that way. The Junkrat will be able to look around and see which direction they're coming in, and then the Roadhog can set up shop over in this area, so he can really look over here, or he can look towards main, and if he's playing in this area here, that will give some some leeway of where he wants to go. Plus, he does have some cover too. So if they start ulting, he can run back this way, or if he wants to step out and pull somebody so the Reaper can jump down and do something about it, or the Junkrat wants to shoot at him, they can do some things. I would actually recommend pulling somebody further in, and so that way they'll actually miss the Orisa who's hiding on the side here, and it will give the Orisa a little bit more time to get some shots and use the halt orb to get control of the fight as well. So I think that's how that should go. Last but not least, we do have the Brigitte, and the Brigitte's direction is a little bit more complicated. One of the things that the Brigitte can do is hang closer towards the Orisa, and the reason why is when the halt orb is used, the Brigitte can go in and bash them and then attack that way. Or the other option is the Brigitte can stick closer to the Roadhog, and the Brigitte and the Roadhog can actually run together, and so their positioning is going to be very similar because the Brigitte's heals is based on the area that she's in, and so that would be the best way to take advantage of those heals. The other option, one final option, and there is a little bit of freedom, is that the Brigitte, since her ability allows her to heal everybody in the room who's very spread out, she could pretty much sit here, and we have cover from the Widowmaker by taking up this position here. She can see if somebody's pushing in on this side. The bottom line is if the Roadhog is going to start across the way over here, whereas the Brigitte's going to start up here, this really counts for some quick rotation. So what you're going to want to do is, the moment the Roadhog calls mid, is the Brigitte is going to want to jump down and decide who she wants to stick with, which tank, and so there is some flexibility. Otherwise, let's say if the right side is where everybody is pushing, she's still going to want to move, whereas the Reaper can teleport over here, and then she can always run with the Reaper too and keep each other up. So this room is going to require a lot of shifting to decide how to handle it, so it really depends on the entrance, and that's some practices that we're going to have to do in our own part. But the starting area for the safest spots to make sure that we can properly adjust to defend everything, I think this is really going to be the way to do a main setup with the comp that we have. Also, before I forget, Mercy. Mercy in this case is going to stick up top with the Junkrat. And the reason why is because the Mercy can boost the Junkrat, and so hopefully we can get a pick as the enemy team starts pushing in, or the Mercy may need to jump to any location depending on the fight and either damage boost or heal. And so let's say if they push on the right side and we have the Reaper and the Brigitte engaging, the Mercy can go down and heal the Brigitte, and basically between healing the Brigitte and the Reaper, if the Mercy stays above the fight and looks down and watches, it's guaranteed to keep both of those characters up to where they can clear out everybody, so that's not really too big of a deal here. Alrighty, so and that's really the strategy for B, is what we're going to take with this comp. So like I said, this is the ideal. Obviously there are going to be some situations where it's not going to be able to be easily predicted, but I want you guys to get used to being able to visualize how you expect a fight to go, and then as we get more experience together as a team, you'd start refining what you can expect to see and then compensating for it. So that's really the goal of the game here, okay?